One thing that I've been thinking about a lot in relation to two situations that I'm very interested in, as you know, the Johnny Depp situation and the Marilyn Manson controversy. One thing I've been thinking a lot about is the state of public perception right now about these two cases. And I just wanted to talk just a little bit about that. I intended this video to be updates on the situations, but I'm kind of on vacation. I'm at my mom's house. This is my mom's house, so this is why it's not my normal setup. And I just haven't had the time to put together the kind of more comprehensive videos that I wanted to do on updating the Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson situation. So I wanted to talk, though, give you something. And I wanted to talk about the state of public perception and where I think things are at. And, you know, I don't know a good way of measuring this. What I try to do is I try to talk to people when I can who I know are not invested are not emotionally invested or even aware of these situations, more beyond just the little bit that they might, you know, have heard on the news or read online or whatever. And so, like, for instance, you know, I'm here at home at my mom's house, and I've been here for a week or so. And so I've had a number of opportunities to hang out with friends that I haven't seen in a while and relatives that I haven't seen in a while and so on. And one of the things I've been doing is asking people, I mean, not the first thing, right? But asking people after a while, well, what have you heard about the Johnny Depp situation? What have you heard about the Marilyn Manson situation? And what do you think? Okay. And it's really it's interesting to me how many people really don't know much of anything. And I don't know why that should surprise me, because I should know that most people are not really interested in this stuff like I am and like some of you in my audience are. So, you know, I think that some of us, we get so used to on Twitter and on Instagram daily, you know, seeing these different posts about the situation and different having, you know, knowledge of this information as it's coming out and, you know, reading the lawsuits and so on. And we forget that your average person, for good reasons, right? Your average person just doesn't really know much of what's going on in these cases beyond just the little bit that they hear in the media. And so, you know, the Johnny Depp situation first, I'll talk about that first, because I think that it's a bit less complicated in terms of the public perception, I mean. The Johnny Depp situation, I have noticed a change. It seems like initially, like a year or two ago when I was talking about this with people, it seemed like back then there was very much this perception that he probably did something, and that it was, you know, the thing that people like to say online a lot, well, it was a mutually toxic relationship. And I really hate that. Okay, yes, we know that Johnny Depp has or had, and maybe still does have, right? But we know Johnny Depp had some problems. We know that he had substance abuse problems. We know that it seems like he had some spending issues, even though I know there's some shady stuff probably going on with his financial people. But he's admitted that he has these issues, and so the idea that he has a temper, you know, I saw on Twitter this week people were talking about some revelation that Amber Heard's team, you know, presented or dug up about how someone on Johnny's team had said that he could have a temper. Well, okay, having a temper and committing domestic violence are two different things. And while Johnny Depp may have at times a temper, and I would say more often than not justifiably, okay, but Amber Heard is the domestic abuser, and we know that. I've heard the tapes. We've heard the tapes, and you know, Amber's team. They are. Some of you have said this. They are getting really desperate, and they're just kind of like throwing whatever to throw up this kind of smokescreen. But I've heard the tapes. I've heard the recording tapes of her interacting with Johnny Depp, and it's just very clear who the abuser is in that situation. Okay, but here's my point, though. I feel like a year or two ago, and certainly before that, the public perception was that Johnny Depp was this really weird character, this really weird person, and he of course would be capable of these violent outbursts and so forth. And so I think that was the perception, and also you know this as well as I do, that there's been this idea that you should not question a woman's allegations of assault because women don't lie, and it's dangerous to women if we start thinking them capable of lying about this stuff and so forth. And I think that a year or two ago and before that people's tolerance for criticism of Amber Heard was much, much less, because most people felt like there was something kind of wrong or icky about accusing a woman of lying about this stuff. And and so that's the kind of attitude that I was getting from people, friends and family, mostly friends, but when I would ask them about these things, right? Well, what I've noticed is that in the last year, that people in my friend and family group who are not really emotionally invested in this, or who are not really educated about what's been going on, they have gotten the message. It's like it's trickled down, even though the media has avoided reporting on it. It's still like there's these cracks. And so the truth has been, thanks to a lot of people on the internet, the truth has been like trickling in. And so I think that the perception that I get, especially after talking to some people last time, being home right now, is that people have some vague notion that there's some kind of injustice that's been done to Johnny Depp, and that this ex-wife, and most people don't even know who Amber Heard is, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, there was something about his girlfriend or his ex-wife or whatever. And then when you tell people, no, people don't even know who she is. Sorry, Amber, but like still, even after all of the shit that you have, literally the shit that you have been associated with in the media, most people still, they still do not know who you are. But anyway, but then you say, oh, Mira in Aquaman. And they're like, oh, Mira from Aquaman shat in Johnny Depp's bed, huh? So anyway, I think that, and I know that the UK trial was a big blow, unfortunately, and it really set Johnny Depp back, I know, a lot in public perception, but I still feel like the word has gotten out. And if anything, it seems like the UK verdict, it maybe helped to mobilize a lot of us more, because into getting the word out and about the situation. I mean, I'll tell you that I didn't even start getting involved on Twitter in the Justice for Johnny Depp movement. I didn't start getting involved until after the UK verdict. In fact, I remember when the UK verdict came through, and what was that? Was it September? Was it August or September? Was that still this year? Jeez, but anyway, okay, sorry. But anyway, when the UK verdict came through, I remember for the first time, that's when I got on Twitter and looked up Johnny Depp, because I wanted to see that there were other people who felt as devastated by that verdict as I did, by that ridiculous, incorrect, travesty of a verdict. And so I remember like that was like the first time I was like, that I purposely went to Twitter and looking for the Johnny Depp hashtags or whatever, because I needed to like see that other people saw what was going on. And I remember the first thing that I saw, the first entry on Twitter, and I can't remember which of you it was who wrote this, typed this, but it said, the first thing I saw was it said, this is a tragedy. This is a tragedy. Right. And it felt that way. It really felt that way. But I think that with a lot of, unfortunately money and time and effort and everything, that Johnny Depp is going to be able to dig himself out of this. And I do think that I really believe and hope that when the Virginia trial rolls around in a matter of months, that this finally will be the tide that breaks down the wall that the media has put up against reporting this accurately and giving it the attention that it deserves. One of my relatives watches my show a lot, and he really likes it, and he's always given me, feedback and stuff. But when he first started watching my show, he had no idea, and this was like, months ago. But when he first started watching my show, he really didn't have any idea about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation and the domestic violence hoax and the abuse and all of that, right? That she's perpetrated against Johnny Depp. And it's interesting because after he listened to one or two of my programs where I was talking about the situation and what Amber did. Because remember, I recorded a couple of summary videos where I just summarize what's been going on in the case. Looking back now, they're not very good, but they're my first videos. Anyway, point is, so my relative looked at these, at a couple of my videos, and his response was, this is what he said. He said, I cannot believe that there is this huge story here where you have a major star, like a major global star, beloved star like Johnny Depp, and you have this person, this woman who has manipulated him and abused him and is now propagating this campaign against him in the media of lies and destroying him. I can't believe that this stuff happened and it's getting no media coverage. He's like, why have I not heard about this? Why? And so I think that's interesting. But what my point is that I think that, look, the Virginia trial, it's just going to be too juicy for the media to ignore. They could ignore, by and large, I wouldn't say the UK trial was ignored, but at that point, things were still being depicted as like, oh, it could go either way, or it was a toxic relationship all around. But I think that by the time we get to Virginia, Johnny Depp's case is going to be so much stronger. I feel like they're going in and they're way more prepared. Maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part. And I'm not saying they did a bad job the first time around, but I do think that that Johnny Depp and his team and his lawyers, they are going in prepared now, and they've got a lot more ammunition. Look, in the UK trial, as we know, one of the foundational points of reasoning for that judge was that Amber Heard was not a gold digger because she donated her divorce settlement to Children's Hospital and ACLU. So the judge, as you remember, Judge Nickel, he said, this is hardly the behavior of a gold digger. So he just went by her word, right? Well, it turns out, of course, that she lied. And now Johnny Depp's team, as we know, they're going to have more evidence showing that. All right. And so I guess my point is that I don't feel like this is going to be the UK trial part deux. I think that it's going to be very, very much more difficult for Amber Heard and her team. And there's going to be a lot more ammunition that Johnny Depp's side has. And I just think that it has, the truth has seeped into the grounds of public opinion enough through the cracks that even the media now, I think there's going to be a change in how the media depicts this. I think I'm not saying the media is going to go hardcore against Amber, but I do think that there's going to be fairer coverage of this. And I do think that if and hopefully when a guilty verdict of some kind is assessed against Amber Heard, I really hope that the media then will report that, and I have some hope that the media will report that and that they'll become more interested in the story. Who knows? Maybe I'm, being overly naive or overly optimistic. And so I guess the point that I'm making is that I do see, I know that Johnny Depp, and let me just say that I believe that once this has happened then, that Johnny Depp will be more or less fully restored in the public mind, and that he'll not have problem getting film work and whatever. And I know that he's got some stuff kind of going on anyway, but I'm talking about, how he got fired from the Warner Brothers movie and everything. And I think that, and I hate to say it like this because of all the shit that he's been through, but I do think that there's going to be a kind of a happy ending, a redemptive ending for Johnny Depp. Now for Amber Heard, oh my God, I don't know what's in the store for her, because she has really laid up some pretty astoundingly bad karma for herself, and it's just a matter of whether the weight of that is going to come down on her now or later. But that's my feeling on that. But anyway, so I do think that things are looking good for Johnny Depp, and I hate to say that because there's so much shit that he's going through and has to go through, and there's still this really long road in front of us. I said on Twitter a while back that, normally when you think about time, like when you look back in time, normally you say, wow, time really flies. Like, I can't believe, that it seems like that was just yesterday. I can't believe that was 5 years ago. But it's funny because it seems like with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, it really feels like to me that this shit with Amber has been going on for like hundreds of years. It's like the War of the Roses or whatever, right? Is that the right reference? I might have messed that up. History buffs will have to get on to me for that, and that's not so good on my medieval history, I have to tell you. But anyway, the point is, it just feels like that shit with her has been going on forever, and I can't even imagine how it feels to Johnny Depp, because if it feels like that to me. And, I don't know. So anyway, that's my thinking about that, and for whatever it's worth, and I would love to hear your comments. I always read the comments. Sometimes it takes me a little time, and I don't always have time to respond to every one of them, but I do read all the comments. And so I'd love to hear about what you think. What is your feeling about where public perception is on the Johnny Depp case, and like where things are headed and everything. Well, that leaves the Marilyn Manson situation. Now, the Marilyn Manson situation, I think, is much more difficult. I'm not, like I said, I'm not like without hope that hopefully sooner than later the truth will be recognized, and I think that happens much more often than not in history. And I think also that this Me Too stuff and cancel culture, I do think and I hope that it is hitting a kind of more of a fever pitch, and that maybe it'll break like a fever. It can break just a little bit, even if it's temporary. I think people have had enough. I think people are increasingly have had enough. I know that Twitter, like you look at Twitter and you look in the media and you lose all hope at times that people have any sense. But I really do think that people are seeing through this stuff now, the excesses of Me Too, the ridiculousness of cancel culture, and they're coming back to an understanding that the presumption of innocence in the absence is important, and that someone's accusation in the absence of evidence cannot just be believed, especially with the media incentives that are out there in these celebrity cases for people to lie and make up stuff and whatever. So anyway, my point is that I do have some hope, but at the same time, I think that it is a real problem for Manson, and I'm sure he knows this. It is a real problem for Manson that there are so many accusers. And look, if you haven't watched my videos on Manson's innocence, go and look at them, because I talk about, in almost every video, I address this idea of how many accusers there are, and I talk about several reasons why that kind of thinking is invalid and why the situation is much more complex than that and so forth, right? And so go but look at my, if you haven't seen my videos, go look at my video, Manson is Innocent, okay? And there's others too. But I do think, unfortunately, it's an uphill battle right now in public opinion, because so many people, they hear, oh, there's 15 accusers or whatever, and they think, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. He's got to have done some bad shit. He's got to have been abusive. But I will say this, though. I will say this. The people that I have been talking to the past week when I've been here at home, in terms of like old friends who haven't been keeping up with it or keeping up with what I'm doing, and family and stuff, they seem more open-minded about it than I would have thought. A lot more open-minded, because what I did expect was the kind of an automatic knee-jerk reaction of like, well, I mean, look at how freakish he is, and he sings about evil stuff, and he has, this many accusers against him, and so, he's got to be guilty. That's not the attitude that I'm seeing. The attitude that I'm seeing is more kind of like almost a kind of a disengaged curiosity that most people have, which I think is interesting. So, like, for instance, a friend of mine, she is a feminist, I believe, and I bring up the feminism thing. I'm not in this video attacking feminism per se. We're talking about this, I don't want to get into that, but just like the reason I bring it up is because I'm wanting you to understand like what her perspective is, that she's very interested in women's issues, okay? And so is she a feminist? And I expected that when I told her, so, okay, I should back up. I should say that we were catching up. How have you been? What are you up to? And I told her that I had gotten fired from my job, and that I was going to focus for a while on making YouTube videos and see if I could get some part-time work or whatever to accommodate that, or get a full-time job, but keep working on my YouTube videos. Well, anyway, she asked, well, what do you make videos on? And it's always kind of when people ask and they've not seen my stuff, I always kind of feel a little bit weird, because to people who are not invested in these situations, to say I make videos defending Marilyn Manson and Johnny Depp, like, it doesn't make me look bad or anything, and I'm not like ashamed of it, but it's just kind of like they don't know quite what to make of it, because it seems very random, right? Like, if you're not interested and invested in this stuff, it seems kind of random to be like so interested about these things, even though I think they are fascinating. And when I tell people about them, those people think they're fascinating. Well, most of them. Some people still aren't impressed. But anyway, here's the point. And so I expected her to have this this reaction against it, or be kind of like, oh, or whatever. But she was very, very like open and interested. And she's like, I don't know anything about that. Tell me about it. And so and then I was talking to someone else, also someone else in my family who doesn't know, again, doesn't follow this stuff or keep up, or really, and does not watch my videos. And I mentioned the Marilyn Manson thing, and she started laughing. This relative, she started laughing, and she said, "Oh yeah," she said, "I remember that when the first accusations came out, I was looking at the news article, and in the comments section of that article about the accusations, there were all of these people who were just basically like just laughing and at the accusers and talking about how ridiculous it was and everything and so on." And my relative, she was laughing too, as if to say like, yeah, I kind of got the sense that this was one of those bullshit, media stories, and one of those bullshit Me Too witch hunts. And so anyway, that was her attitude. And I guess what I'm saying is I really haven't found so far, and I know that, I'm limited by location and demographic and stuff like that. But I really, it's interesting as I've been talking to people to find that that public opinion has not solidified, and far from it, against Manson. And look, I think that most people, okay, I'm not talking about the media, all right, but most people, I think, understand that when we get into the realm of celebrity, we are talking about a different set of dynamics. And so I think maybe a lot of people understand now that even if you have 15 accusers, or however many there are, I lose track, but even if you have a number of accusers, that in today's media age, that doesn't mean anything, because people know, people have caught on, especially in the last few years, as this formula, this Me Too formula keeps getting repeated. And I'm not saying it's that the men are always innocent. Okay, I've talked before about how there's all kinds of men that I think in the news that I think are guilty. Weinstein is the obvious one, but there's others. Okay, so again, the only people I've defended so far on my channel are Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson and Andrew Cuomo. Okay, and that's because I think that they're innocent of the things they're accused of, and I will continue to advocate for people whom I think are innocent. So anyway, my point is is that God, what was my point? Okay, well, anyway, obviously I've been enjoying vacation a little too much, and I'm a little bit unscripted today. So anyway, but my point just being that I do think that things could be more hopeful or optimistic than maybe we assume in the Marilyn Manson case. That I think public opinion is more open, is more malleable, and everything. And I don't think that the Manson accusers have done themselves any favors in the way that they have conducted themselves in bringing out their allegations. And I've talked about this before, but Instagram's not the place for the serious allegations. Okay, if you want to be taken seriously, these short Instagram posts, where at least one of the accusers manages to also promote her music in the same post, and where and then these interviews too, like that some of them have done. Esme Bianco's interview with New York Magazine and her Good Morning America interview, and then the worst, I think, is Ashley Morgan's People magazine modeling photo op, where she basically called Marilyn Manson a serial killer. And where the interview was combined with her, being photographed and doing this modeling shots and looking, pensively out the window and stuff. I'm sorry, but if you want people to, and I'm talking in general to a number of the accusers, if you want people to take you seriously, that's not the way to do it. And, I think that, look, I think that if some of these women had just sued him, okay, or if they had put out a really serious statement, but instead they do these like press blitzes, and they're posting, like Esme Bianco, they're posting their interviews about sexual assault like their credits on IMDb, right? And it's just like it's this very weird sort of commercializing of their supposed trauma that they have not gone through, but that they claim to. And again, if you wonder why I'm saying these things, why I believe that Manson is innocent, please go and look at my videos, okay? So I don't think that the accusers have done themselves any favors in how they have chosen to present their cases, such as they are. And I think that people are smarter. I think people intuitively see through this stuff. But the problem is, and here's the problem for Manson, or one of the problems, is that even if, so let's say even the majority of people, the population, comes around to believe that he didn't do these things, or at least that he deserves the benefit of the doubt in the absence of evidence and whatever, okay? Even if the majority of the population comes around to some kind of a tolerant view like that, you still have Hollywood is controlled by a particular mindset. And I don't want to get into politics here, but I'm just saying that mindset right now is very much invested in this sort of Me Too and really victim ideology and so forth. And I understand maybe some of that is an overreaction against the problems of the past and things that did create Weinstein and stuff. Okay. But I'm just saying that where we're at is not a good place now. It's not a healthy place. But I think that Hollywood is going to be one of the last to fix themselves in this respect. In other words, I think that this cancel culture stuff, and I think that the excesses of Me Too are going to probably burn for a while longer before they burn themselves out. And so I guess the problem here, what I'm saying is that I feel like, even more than Johnny Depp, I feel like Manson is, to a degree, kind of up against the clock. And I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just saying up against the clock in the sense that I think I think that there might be a longer process that has to occur for the people who run things in the music industry. I was talking about Hollywood, but also the music industry and stuff. Of course, Manson was fired from a number of TV shows and stuff like that, right? Like Creep Show, and what was the other one? American Gods? Anyway. But Hollywood and the entertainment industry and the music industry, it's hard for me to see them coming around on this. And, the thing that I think would help would be to file a defamation lawsuit against one or more of these women, the way that Johnny Depp has done it. And I know that people could say, well, look how it backfired for Johnny Depp in the UK trial. He was trying to clear his name and then it backfired. Yeah, but you know what? He got it on record that that this stuff was not true, and that he was willing, he was so convinced of that he was and cared about it, his name and his reputation, that he was going to fight it out in court. And so I still think the UK trial, and you can tell me if you think this is wrong, but I think the UK trial was still a net gain for Johnny Depp. And even though the verdict sucked and everything, but I think that people looked at that and they were like, come on, this man is going to go through all of this, and he's not innocent. I'm not saying that it definitely proves anything, but I'm just saying that. And so I do feel like if Manson were to to file a defamation lawsuit against one or more of these women, I really do think that that could be somewhat helpful in public opinion, because I do think that people are open-minded generally, and they would be ready, they would be open to hearing the other side of the situation, the other side of the case. But they kind of need a sign that Manson himself is going to fight it, right? And I'm not trying to give advice to Manson or anything, okay? And I know that there are tremendous legal considerations here that I probably have no clue about, and I'm sure that if Manson's lawyers felt like it was good for him legally to sue for defamation, that they would tell him to do that, because they know that the evidence is on his side, and there's all these problems and inconsistencies with the accusers' stories and everything. Like, they know this. So I think that, the legalities of a situation like this are just incredibly difficult. And that's the problem, too, in these situations when you have false accusers, is that the false accusers, they really have the falsely accused over a barrel, in a sense, because the person who's falsely accused, because they're embroiled in this legal thing, they have to, with lawsuits and stuff, they have to take a lot of care in what they say and what they do. Whereas their natural inclination as falsely accused people would be to come out and say, I absolutely did not do this, and this is bullshit. And let me tell you, she's lying about this or this or this. But I understand that may not be the situation that Manson is in, where he can do that even despite his innocence. So, I think for me, the question, I think I see the path more clearly with Johnny Depp, like the road to redemption or whatever, and I think that he's on it. I think that with Manson, I think that he will find vindication. I don't know, redemption. Maybe I'm not using the word exactly right, but vindication. I think that he will ultimately be vindicated, and I hope that it's sooner rather than later, and that we're talking, a matter of not many years. But I wish that there were ways to speed that up, and I've just been like wondering what those could be. So anyway, some of us are getting the word out. I know a lot of us are, and that's great. And we just got to keep doing it, because my hope is that, just like with the Johnny Depp case, that all of us, right, will find cracks in the media and in this media false narrative, and that we will trickle down, and that more and more people will figure out the truth on this, and that finally then the media will have to report it. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to have more stuff out. And like I said, I do have a better video on the Depp and Manson stuff that I'm working on. But I wanted to give you something since I'm a little behind. And God knows I still have a lot of other stuff I need to put out for you as well. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And please, donations, always helpful. I don't ask for anything that you wouldn't pay for, kind of a shitty movie on Amazon late one night. Okay, so you can tip me on PayPal. I always appreciate my Patreon people. Bye.